Hello, stress is part of our life. It is a frightening time right now. None of us have ever seen something like this in our entire lives. We are in the midst of a worldwide pandemic, with cities and even the entire country is shutting down. I don't know the number, but more than I think 190 countries are infected with coronavirus. And some of us are in areas like such as me. I'm in America today as of I think today is the April 8. More than 430,000, 13,000 people are infected and a lot of death, unfortunately. So this is not easy for anybody. And I can imagine the people who have lost their jobs. I am a professor of hospitality management, and you can imagine the situation of the entire tourism industry, which composes of about 10% of the world GDP now gone. So this is very unprecedented time for us. And we are watching the headlines and wondering what's going to happen next. For many people, the uncertainty surrounding coronavirus is the hardest thing to handle. We don't know how exactly we'll be impacted or how bad things will get. And that makes it all too easy to spiral out into the overwhelming dread and panic. But there are many things you can do, even in the face of this unique crisis, like I do, to manage your anxiety and fears. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a person who can give medical advice, although I'm a doctor of hospitality and tourism management. I want to share with you some of the tips that worked for me personally and professionally to reduce what I call corona-induced stress. Stress was here all the time, but when you take people out of their regular rhythm, when you take this social interaction out of the humans, you create a huge, even more stress than ever. So what worked for me, and hopefully it may work for you. One of the first things I would say, maybe tip number one, recognize your stress. Stress is a normal part of life. As I said before, it was here already and it's always going to be here. It's the natural response to an external pressure that disrupts your equilibrium. It often causes symptoms such as sadness, confusion, irritability, anger, uneasiness, and sometimes even suicidal thoughts. Reduce concentration, that happens with me. Efficiency and productivity, sometimes you don't want to do anything. You don't want to touch, you don't want to even move your finger. And those are social withdrawal and isolation. You don't want to see anybody. Interpersonal problems like lies, defensiveness, communication concerns, tension, headaches, jaw clenching, teeth grinding, all these different things, body pain, headaches, muscle spasms, reduced energy, you feel tired, you feel weak and fatigue, sleeping problems, insomnia, nightmares sometimes. All of these things can be part of your life right now. And some of it happened to me. And again, recognize the stress is tip number one. You know that once you know the problem, it's easier to fix it. And tip number two is stay informed, but don't obsessively check the news. Like this is what I was doing in the first days of coronavirus. I was always on CNN, BBC, Guardian, like you name it, anything and everything, Twitter, Facebook, social media. I was always checking. So, but that's not good because the life goes on. And again, as I said, some of us have even more problems than others. If you lost your job, maybe you have the risk of losing your home or whatever that might be. So don't obsessively check the news. It's important to stay informed, particularly about what's happening in your community, so you can follow the advice, safety precautions, and do your part to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Those of you who are in America, CDC is one of the most reliable places that you can go to get information. There is a lot of misinformation going on. You know, conspiracy theories, or who did what, whatever. Those things are really not going to help you. So it's important to erase those things or filter out and just focus on what's important for you. And such as, again, stick to trustworthy sources like CDC or World Health Organization. And also limit how often you check for the updates. Constant monitoring of news and social medias can turn into compulsive and counterproductive, fueling anxiety rather than easing it. So, and also, it's okay to step away from the media for once in a while, for some time. And I'm gonna go back to this in a second, a little bit, but that's important. And also be careful about what you share. Don't just like click the share button on social media for everything that you see, especially without checking if it is true or not, because you don't want to add too much to the plate if it is not correct information, and that creates unnecessary panic, especially your friends on social media, because they trust you. That's why they add you to the social media. One of the tips that worked for me quite well is focus on the things that you can control. We are in a time of massive upheaval. So many things outside of our control, including how long the pandemic lasts, how other people behave, and what's going to happen in our communities. That's a tough thing to accept, and so many of us respond by endlessly searching the internet for answers and thinking over all different scenarios that may happen. One of the tips that really worked well for me is focus on the things you can control. If you focus on the things you cannot control, that strategy is not going to get you anywhere. But when you feel yourself getting caught in the fear of what might happen, try to shift your focus to things you can control. For example, you can't control how severe the coronavirus outbreak is in your city or town, but you can take steps to reduce your own personal risk and the risk that you'll unknowingly spread it to others. You know, we learned so well in these times that washing your hands frequently, at least for 20 seconds, or using a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60-70% alcohol. Avoid touching your face, your eyes, nose. Staying at home as much as possible. I did another video in YouTube that showed about the mobility report. Google has a mobility report. In America, we are still behind those countries that are now defeating the coronavirus, that's staying at home as much as possible. Avoiding crowds and gatherings of 10 or more people. To be honest with you, this is the CDC's advice. For me, even 2 is too many. If you can avoid that. Avoiding all and non-essential shopping and travel. Keeping the 6 feet distance. Like, these are the things that you can control. Getting good sleep, right? And another tip is plan for what you can. It's natural to be concerned about what may happen if your workplace closes, your children have to stay home from school, or you or someone you love gets sick, or you have to self-quarantine. While all these possibilities can be scary to think about this, being proactive can help relieve at least some of the anxiety. Write down specific worries you have about how coronavirus may disrupt your life. If you start feeling overwhelmed, take a break. Make a list of all possible solutions you can think of. Try not to get too hung up on perfect options, includes whatever comes to your mind that could help you get by. Focus on concrete things you can problem solve or change rather than circumstances beyond your control. After you evaluated your options, draw up a plan of action. When you are done, set it aside and resist the urge to go back until you need it or your circumstances significantly change. Okay, another amazing tip that worked for me is working from home. If you're lucky enough to have a job and you stay at home, which is not what we have done for our entire lives, right? Think about that. From the time that you're a baby up to the moment before coronavirus, we were social animals. We were always around people. We were talking with them, going to movies, restaurants, eating, meetings, conferences, travel, vacation, you name it. Now we can't do all of these things. Now you have to work at home. You've got kids with you. You've got other things going on. It's not easy to work from home. What I tried is that I applied project management rules when I do things. So I learned this in school. Project management is taking a big task and dividing it into small pieces so that you can do one at a time. So that's what I'm going to suggest. Do it like this. Take whatever that big task is and focus on that small task and then go to the next one. Whenever you do like this, I use a to-do, paper copy, whatever that works for you. Or you can actually have this in your phone, just do it, and then you have you use the to-do list on your phone. There's many apps like whatever that works for you. Write it down. Once you do this, put this on to-do list, and then you need to stay off the grid. That's a huge advice that I want to give it to those of you who may not finish something. And it happens to be all the time. When you are working on something, let's say we have a big task. We divide it into small tasks, okay? 4 pieces. I'm going to get a project done. I'm going to write my homework. I'm going to write that paper for professors. That's something that we do all the time. And then I take it into the small pieces and I start working on that piece. But if I don't turn off the cell phone, the email, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, TikTok, whatever, or cannot isolate yourself from disruption, then you're going to go back to the square one. So that's why becoming off the grid is so important. Deep focus. Maybe 20 minutes. That's going to be better than 5 hours with all these disruptions. Get off the phone. Get off the social media, whatever it is, and just focus on that thing and do it. Another tip. Stay connected. We are not used to this, right? As we have said, we are social humans, are social animals. And how can you do that? There are many different ways, right? Some of you use Zoom, some of you use Skype, some of you just take the phone and call the people that you didn't call for a long time. Ask them how they are doing. And if your friends, colleagues call you, answer their calls and spend some time. That's why the biggest thing that most people can do, stay connected. I see in social media people doing happy hours on Zoom or Skype, whatever the tool that you may use, or WhatsApp or WeChat, whatever. Do the same. Try to meet with your colleagues, friends, family members as often as possible. Nothing replaces face-to-face, but seeing somebody, hearing some comfort words is going to help. We are hardwired for connection. We are social animals. Isolation and loneliness can create anxiety and depression and even impact our physical health. And you don't want to be sick at this time. You don't want your immune system to go down. That's why it's so important to stay connected as best as we can and reach out for support when we need it, even as we cut back in-person socializing. Make it a priority to stay in touch with friends and family. If you tend to withdraw when depressed or anxious, think about scheduling regular phone chat or Skype dates to counteract that tendency. While in-person visits are limited, substitute video chatting if you are able to. Face-to-face contact is like a vitamin for your mental health, reducing your risk of depression and helping ease stress and anxiety. Social media can be a powerful tool, not only for connecting with friends, family, and acquaintances, but feeling connected in a greater sense to our communities, country, and the world. It reminds us we are not alone. Right now, in April 8, we are seeing Wuhan, the city that the coronavirus started, come back to normalcy. We see people in restaurants, we see people in trains, we see people in the parks walking, and that's amazing, right? That's how I get connected to these kind of news, is through the social media. But that said, be mindful of how social media is making you feel. Don't hesitate to mute keywords or people who are making you nervous, stressed. Log off if it is making you feel worse. Don't let coronavirus dominate every conversation. It's important to take breaks from your stressful thoughts about the pandemic to simply enjoy each other's company, to laugh, share stories, and focus on other things that are going on in our lives. Emotions are contagious, so be wise about who you turn for support. If you see someone who is posting always negative stuff that makes you like this, hey, just maybe don't unfriend that person. It may hurt his or her feeling, but you can, there's something called unfollow in Facebook, in other social media as well, to just control what you're exposed to. This is an extraordinary trying time, and all the tried and true stress management strategies apply, such as eating healthy meals, getting plenty of sleep, and meditating, praying. Beyond that, here are some other tips for practicing self-care in the face of unique disruptions caused by the coronaviruses. Be kind to yourself. Maintain a routine as much as you can. Take time out for activities you enjoy. Get out in nature if possible. Of course, with social distancing, don't go in crowded places. Maybe just walk, take a bike trip, find ways to exercise, whatever that might be. Even if you're not exercising before doing, and avoid self-medication. Take up a relaxation practice, whatever that might be. Maybe a deep breathing, meditation, yoga, watching a series on Netflix or Disney Channel now, right? And I also would like to kind of like finish my video here with another amazing tip that I apply to myself, and it really helps. I used to take my smartphone with me when I go to the bed, and before I sleep I usually spend 1 hour, 2 hours sometimes on Twitter, Facebook, social media, on things, and that's not good. Don't take your smartphone, tablet, laptop into your bedroom. I know it's difficult. I know that many of us are attached to these devices, but if you can do that, that really helps. When you try to sleep with your smartphone, tablet, or laptop, something, they emit high levels of blue light at night, and first of all can damage your retinas, your eyes, and we are exposed to blue light as part of the full light spectrum during the day from natural sunlight, but nighttime exposure from high levels of blue light is unnatural and not good. And also, if you were to forget about the blue light and for a second, if you keep this with you and then you are going to read stuff, and that's going to make you even more stressed, so that it may cause you to not fall asleep or insomnia, whatever that might be. So also try to help others, whatever that you can do. Even talking to a friend, colleague is going to make them feel better. That's helping others. Maybe if you have a job and your neighbor, your friend, your colleague lost their job, help them to get by, whatever that might be. So this is unprecedented times, and we need to support each other. It's not easy to stay stress-free, but it is possible. I hope that you find the tips that I've given you from my research, from my personal practice, and helpful, and it will also help you as well. With that, I wish you virus-free days, and I hope that we will go back to our regular routine, which I now understand that I took it for granted, even as a professor of tourism and hospitality, that traveling, eating out, socializing with friends is unbelievable. So at least I learned how wonderful these things are, and I am blessed to have keep my job, and I am very trying to be very positive and always look for the good things. Thank you.